Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I just wanted to mention about something very important. That is that we have two systems at play. One is the extreme capitalist system, and the other side we have an extreme socialist system. And both have advantages and both have disadvantages. There's no doubt about it. If you look at an extreme capitalist system, it allows economic agents to flourish, it allows them to be self-motivated, it allows them to be able to create wealth, it allows them to, to have ideas, to be able to implement ideas, it allows them to raise capital, it allows them to get help from the bank so that their ideas are realized and materialized. So they flourish. It allows them to create corporate entities that are able to swallow small businesses and are able to create jobs and so on and so forth. So the sole or the extreme capital system has advantages, but it also has disadvantages. The disadvantage in a sole capital system is that the poor sometimes gets poorer. So there is there is a gap between the rich and poor. You find that the richer becomes richer, and the poorer becomes poorer. Becomes the poorest. The reason being is that the rich man has the ability, has the contacts, is able to go to the financial institutions, is able to pick up wealth, is able to create corporate entities, bigger entities, which are able to swallow these small sized businesses. They're able to create super and hyper markets that are able to take the corner shops, and challenge them. Thus the corner shops lose the customers, and the customers are all taken away by these corporate systems. So that's one disadvantage. The second disadvantage is the greed. You find that the greed is the main player in this system to an extent that the greedy becomes greedier, and because of that, what happens is that he doesn't know where the limits are, and once he doesn't know where the limits are, he ends up falling into high risk-taking activities, and that in itself means that he starts gambling with his wealth, with the wealth from the financial institutions. He ends up creating products, derivatives, and other products like toxic debts and so on and so forth, thinking that will be money-making initiative. And what happens is that the system implodes. And what happens is that there is a depression, economic depression, recession, implosion, and it has a domino effect, because nowadays all the economies are all interlinked. So anything that happens in the West will have a negative impact in the East. So thus there is a domino effect. Everyone is affected by that. So an extreme capitalist system in itself has advantages as well as disadvantages. Again, let's look at the extreme socialist system. In an extreme socialist system, which could be a communist system as well. So what happens to that is the fact that those who are in the government, the state, we would say, the state starts owning the companies. It thinks that, the rich men are the evil people in the society. Thus, everyone should have a share of the wealth. The rich people, they tend to take a bigger share, a bigger chunk. So, in other words, it's the extreme opposite of the extreme capitalist system. So an extreme social system is an extreme opposite of the extreme capitalist system. So he says that no, everyone should enjoy the wealth. The wealth has to be equally distributed around to everyone. It does not allow the economic agents to be able to have their private, entities. There's the state owns most of the companies, and those companies happen to manufacture things and so on and so forth. Thus, you find the manager in those companies in an extreme socialist or communist system. The manager gets the same wages as a typical low-class laborer, one who is right at the bottom of the ladder. He gets the same amount as the manager. Thus, the manager is not motivated. So where does the money go then? It goes to the state coffers, and obviously those who are working for the state, that's the government officials, they receive a bigger share. Thus you find that the government officials, they live like the rich man. They will say that being rich is an evil thing, but they will live a life of a rich man like oligarchs. They will have big palaces and beautiful cars and so on and so forth. And you find that, because there is no motivation, there is no initiatives, there is no ideas being brought forward, people are not financially being motivated to do something. Thus we find that they are unable to come up with ideas. The companies, state-owned companies, they are not able to have creativity. The cars that they are manufacturing, they are 10 years behind the cars that you find in the countries where sole capitalist systems are introduced. Thus, it's not conducive to the human attitude and economic activity that is ingrained in many of the human beings. So an economic agent is not able to survive, he's not being motivated, so that is a collapse. That also collapses. That system, as we can see in Venezuela, what's happening is that it has collapsed, and we have riots, food shortages, and so on and so forth. That was happening in Russia before it changed to a capitalist model. So that in itself is not a good thing. You need a system that allows capitalist tendency to flourish and also has a social tendency to help the poor, allows the capitalist economic agents to also have altruistic feeling towards the poor, and also allows the poor to enjoy. Because what happens is that if the rich do not think about the poor, what will happen is that the poor will be disadvantaged. A gap will be created between the rich and poor, and the poor will see that he doesn't have any means to survive, so he will resort to illegal economic activity, he will resort to black market, he will resort to drugs, human trafficking, extortion, many other ways of trying to generate wealth in an illegal way. Therefore, you need a system that has the feeling of the poor and also allows the capitalist economic agents to flourish and to be motivated, and that is none but an Islamic economic system. Thus we find that the poor is given a share of the wealth, 2.5% from zakah. During the first Eid, the poor also receives what is known as Zakatul Fitr, a charity that is given before the prayers, so that he's able to buy food for himself and also enjoy the festival of Eid. In the second Eid, which is the Eid of sacrifice, Eid al-Adha, the animal that is sacrificed, there is a share for the poor so that he can also enjoy the meat just as his rich brother. There's a system that is conducive, it's helpful, and takes into board the advantages that are in the capitalist system, and also the advantages that are in having an altruistic feeling that the socialist system tends to portray, taking both on board and allowing the economic agent also to capitalistically flourish on one side, and on the other side also the poor to be able to enjoy some wealth, and know that in the wealth of the the rich, he has a small little portion. That is the system which is optimum, and that is the Islamic economic system. Thanks. Assalamu alaikum.